Hello, and a warm welcome to our weekly show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. The Olympic Games concluded 6 days ago in Tokyo, and this week we continue our in-depth analysis. We're delighted to have as our guest today, Christel Saneh, freshly back from Tokyo, where she was accredited as a photographer. Hello, Christel. Lovely to see
Hi,
you.
Anna.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for getting me again on the show.
Now, first of all, congratulations. While most people, having just returned from an amazing but always draining experience like the Olympic Games, usually want to take a few days to rest and recover, you have been competing this week and came very close to your long jump PB. But unfortunately, the jump was a foul. Where do you find the energy?
Actually, I got all the energy from the athletes competing at the Olympics. Yeah, it was exciting. So it does normally reflects on your performances. Yeah.
That's brilliant. So after being at the Olympic Games as a young reporter, changemaker, you were there this time as an accredited photographer. Tell us about the experience.
Yeah, it was completely different. Like in Rio, I was press accredited and not photographer. Like this is the second, if you want, major championship as a photographer for me after Doha. So yeah, it was different. First of all, with the pandemic, and like it was completely different from Rio. And this time also I had some responsibilities because before in Rio I got an accreditation from the IOC because I was part of the IOC Young Reporters program. So this time I was a freelancer shooting for different organizations. So I had like duties to really cover specific athletes from the region, or like, some duties to some events not to miss and some sports not to miss. So it wasn't like Rio where I had the freedom to go wherever I want, And also because it was in the pandemic, there was like a booking system to enter an event. So we had to book a day before to be able to get the approval and then be able to enter an event. So it wasn't like very easy, but yeah, very different from Rio. Like even the transportation this time was a hassle. Like you couldn't cover more than 2 sports a day or 2 different venues a day because there was like a media transportation mall where all the buses go to. So you go from your hotel to the media transportation mall, and from this MTM, that's the abbreviation of it, you go to a venue. And you cannot actually go from venue to venue directly. You have to go back to the media transportation mall and go back to the venue. So it was a bit complicated in terms of transportation and how to move around in the middle of a pandemic. So it was very challenging compared to the facilities that we usually have. Like go into a bus and go to a venue that you want and so on.
Thank you, Christel. So let's take a look at some of the stats from the Olympic Games before we come back to our guest. In Tokyo, a total of 83 countries qualified for the final. 43 different countries won medals, the highest in over 20 years. 93 won medals across all sport, so not just athletics, and 12 countries won medals only in athletics. 23 different countries won gold. So again, a higher figure than in the last editions. Universality was one of the 6 core values of the International Federation when it was called IAAF. This was later removed when the name was changed, which I believe is a pity, as universality is what really distinguishes athletics from other sports. You remember the World Championships in Paris 2003, where the men's 100-meter gold medal was won by Kim Collins of St. Kitts and Nevis, a country of 42,000 inhabitants. And 2 years later, Kim came to the pre-World Championship press conference in Helsinki with an atlas to show journalists exactly where his country was located on the map. Now, records set in Tokyo. We looked last week at the 3 world records. There were also 12 Olympic records, 28 area records, and 151 national records. Olympic records, just to mention a few, 100-meter final, Elaine Thompson-Hera is closer and closer to Flojo, Florence Griffith Joyner. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, of course, the hurdles, 400 hurdles, men and women, Jasmine Camacho Quinn, but also Abba Kipsang in the 1500-meter semifinal before Jakob improved it in the final. He'd actually set an Olympic record, though he wasn't able to replicate the result when it mattered most in the final. Krauser had set a world record earlier in the year. This time he set an Olympic record. Damian Warner's decathlon was an Olympic record, and Poland twice in the mixed relay. Now, notable athletes, of course, Alison Felix, who at 35 became the most decorated athlete in the Olympic history of our sport, overtaken Carl Lewis. She now has a total of 11 medals in total, 7 of them gold, after she took gold in the 4x400 relay and bronze in the 400-meter flat, her 5th Olympic Games. 14 athletes under the age of 23 won medals, 6 of them gold. So we have 19-year-old Athing Mu, 22-year-old Perros Chemutai, another 22-year-old Sydney McLaughlin, 20-year-old Jakob Ingebrigtsen, 21-year-old Selemon Barega, and another 21-year-old Mondo Duplantis in the pole vault. We always forget how young Mondo is because he's been at the top of the game for so long already. 6 athletes confirmed in Tokyo the titles they had won in Rio. Anita Bodarczyk at 36 gained a 3rd Olympic title, and she is the first woman in athletics to achieve this milestone. Bodarczyk had to undergo knee surgery in the summer of 2019, but was back in great shape for 2021. Anita also has 4 World Championships titles, and in celebrating the first one in Berlin 2009, she was jumping up and down for joy and injured her ankle. So in Tokyo, she chose a more demure way of celebrating with her cool Olympic glasses. Elaine Thompson-Hera of Jamaica, she led a podium sweep for Jamaica in the 100 meters, and then, for good measure, also confirmed her 200-meter title, thus completing the double-double. Faith Kipyegon in the 1500 meters now has a fantastic collection with 2 Olympic golds, 1 World Championship gold, 2 silver. She had already won gold at the under-18 and under-20 championships, as well as 2 golds in the World Cross as a junior. So she has built up a really impressive honors list and is the most successful athlete at her event. Nafissatou Thiam of Belgium in the heptathlon was a young outsider in Rio 2016. She then took World Championships gold in 2017, silver in 2019, was World Athlete of the Year for the International Federation in 2017, and overcame pressure and injuries to win again in Tokyo. Brian Krauser, US shot putter, after improving the world record at the US trials in June, overcoming a mark that had lasted since 1990, Krauser successfully defended his Rio trial medal and confirmed his dominance this season. He owns the 4 best marks of 2021 and 6 of the top 8. But one stat really sums up his dominance better than any other: the number of throws over 22 meters. Only 31 men in total have passed this mark, a total of 419 times. And Krauser threw over 22 meters 141 times, more than 1/3 of all the 22 meters plus throws. The athlete who comes closest, if we can say closest, is Ulf Timmermann back in the 80s with 39 throws over that measure. Totally amazing. Eliud Kipchoge of Kenya in the marathon, his repeat gold makes him arguably the best marathoner in history, and the dominant way he conducted the race in Tokyo confirms the claim. His sub-2 hours race in Vienna in October 2019 may not have been an official race, but Eliud has shown with 2 Olympic golds, 4 wins at London Marathon, 2 in Berlin, 1 in Chicago, that he is the strongest of them all. Let's have a quick look at the multi-medalists. So Elaine Thompson-Herah, we already saw double-double in the 100 and 200 meter women. Ifan Hassan, 5,000 and 10,000 meter gold. She had set herself the nearly impossible task of competing at 1,500, 5,000 and 10,000, but still managed to medal in all 3 events, adding bronze at the 1,500 to her 2 golds. Andre de Grasse of Canada had taken bronze in the 100 and silver in the 200 in Rio, and he improved that in Tokyo with gold in the 200 after a bronze in the 100 meter. And Joshua Cheptegei took gold at 5,000 after placing second in the 10,000 meters. Then there were 2 bronze medals, which really felt like gold. The first is Valerie Adams in the shot put. The 36-year-old New Zealander had won Olympic golds in 2008 and 2012, as well as silver in 2016, and 4 world championship titles from 2007 to 2013. She had 2 children since Rio, 3-year-old Kimoana and 2-year-old Kepaleli, and proudly showed their photo after securing her 4th Olympic medal, the first woman to achieve this in a field event. Kirani James, also of Grenada, won bronze in the 400 meters. He had stormed to Olympic gold in 2012 in a final dominated by Caribbean athletes, just shy of his 20th birthday. Then he secured silver in 2016 in the wake of Wade van Niekerk's blistering world record. But the next years were difficult. In 2017, he experienced extreme fatigue and weight loss, losing 9 kilos. The explanation finally came. He had contracted the debilitating Graves' disease. In 2019, a tragic event hit as James lost his mother, Pamela, following a long battle with a terminal disease. Securing bronze in Tokyo after a world-class 48.33 in the semis felt like gold to Kirani James. Let's take a quick look at the new kids on the block. Christine Bommer in the 200-meter women exploded on the world scene this year. She was barred from competing in her favorite distance, the 400-meter, due to DSD regulations. But the teenage standout and her teammate Beatrice Mazilingi turned to the 200 meters in Tokyo, where Christine won a silver medal, twice setting a world under-20 Olympic record in the process. And Bommer now heads to Nairobi for the World Under-20 Championship starting on 17 August. Athing Mu in the 800-meter women. The 19-year-old took the lead from the start and never looked back, clocking 1:55.21, improving her US record from the trials and climbing to 11th spot all time. And finally, Marcel Jacobs in the 100-meter men not the youngest at 26, but new in his event, as until 2019, Marcel was focusing on the long jump. After disappointing European Indoor Championships in Glasgow 2019, where he no-measured with 2 fouls around 850, he and his coach, former triple jumper Paolo Camossi, a world indoor champion in 2001, decided he should focus on the sprints, and it proved a winning move, as Jacobs first took the 2021 European indoor title in Torun and then added Olympic 100-meter and 4x100 titles. Now let's go back to Tokyo special moments. I already spoke about my favorite moment of the games last week with the shared gold between Mutaz Barshim and Gianmarco Tamberi, made extra special by the hardships the athletes had overcome and their strong friendship. Christel, what were your 3 special moments of the games?
Always Mu'taz and Gianmarco, because it symbolized the true Olympic values. And honestly, the second or the best moment for me, it was Yulimar Rojas' world record and gold medal, but more if you want the world record, because she jumped it so many times this year and fouled it even in the jumping session in the finals in Tokyo. She also jumped it once, and it was a foul jump. So to jump it in the 6th round and set the world record, plus earning the gold medal, was the best moment. Unfortunately, it was happening simultaneously with the high jump, so I couldn't really follow the high jump competition live as I followed Yulimar Rojas. So the plan was to shoot Rojas and head to the high jump to shoot Mu'taz and Gianmarco. And we all expected that they're gonna go for a jump off. So we said, okay, they're gonna take some time. But but actually they didn't, and agreed to share the gold, which is also an amazing achievement. So yeah, for Rojas, it's special for me because I'm also a jumper, and I know how it feels to know that what you are capable of doing and not delivering it, or always fouling a good jump. So for me, when I saw her doing it and reacting in this way, I was crying at the same time of shooting. so it was the most emotional moment for me. Also, Valerie Adams, because her reaction after winning bronze, as you said, it was as if she won gold, and doing it for a bigger purpose, for her family and for her kids, and being coming back from having such a long career and coming back and compete at this level, it's amazing. And her show, if you want, her attitude on while competing, anyone can win bronze medal but not react in the same way. Her bronze really felt like gold, and it was also very inspiring to see, especially that she is also a very inspiring athlete. So yes, someone from her caliber to react this way for the bronze medal was something huge to witness. All the other world records that happened, especially 400 hurdles, men and women, they were impressive, but for me they weren't as emotional as these 3 moments, because as you said, Mu'taz and Gianmarco both had very hard, went through hardships and injuries and suffered a lot to actually come and show this display of friendship between them and, share the gold. So it is very emotional. And also for Yulimar Rojas, coming from trying so hard, also coming from Venezuela, which is the situation is not really well over there, and being the icon of the country, the only hope of a country, and getting it finally with a world record that we've waited so long for it. These are the best moments for me. Records are only performances, but the hardship and what the athletes have been through is the real story behind it.
Thank you, Christel. And now I want to add another special moment from the Tokyo Olympics. It's not something that happened in the Olympic Stadium or on the roads in Sapporo. It is the story behind Hansel Parchment's gold medal in the 110 hurdles, which may well never have materialized if not for the kindness of a volunteer. So Parchment told the story in a video he posted on social media. In it, he explained how the day of the semifinals, he took took the wrong bus and ended up in a totally different venue. No cars were available, and taking a bus back to the Olympic Village and then to the stadium would probably have made him miss his race. So he was desperate for help. He asked Triana, a volunteer, for help, and she gave him the money to take a taxi. So the day after winning gold, he headed off to look for Triana, showed her the medal he had won and which she had helped him secure, gave her the money back, and gave her a Team Jamaica shirt. Journalists and athletes often praise the unsung volunteers, but Triana's story made headlines, and the Jamaican Ministry of Sport has now invited the volunteer to visit Jamaica. So following on from last week, where we had reactions to performances in Tokyo, we have more journalists, former stars and managers who have also shared their reactions to the events in Tokyo. Let's take a look. 400-meter women. Pauline Davis-Thompson won 2 golds in Sydney 2000 at 200-meter and with the 4x100 relay. For Tokyo, she was an analyst with Sportmax TV. Here is how she reacted on set when Saneh Miller-Yubo won gold.
If you're proud of your behavior, put your flag up. Put your flag up. Saneh flag up. Stevie flag up. Oh yeah, we doing it. Get up those big drums, Muhammad. Get the top out. Get the whistle. We gotta go, baby. Let's go. Saneh flag up. Stevie flag up. Oh yeah, put up your flag here. Put it up. Give it up. Let's go. Get our flag up, baby. Get it up. Oh yeah.
I just love Pauline, always full of energy and enthusiasm. So high jump women. Olga Nazarova is the manager of Maria Lasitskene and herself a former international athlete. Let's just remember that Maria was the dominant athlete in high jump in 2016, but could not travel to Rio. In 2021, Olga was also not able to travel to the Olympics to follow her athlete due to COVID restrictions, so she had to watch the competition back home on TV.
Hello, my friend. I would like to tell you about my reaction when I saw that Maria win Olympic Games. First, I jumped like crazy. Then I kissed my TV. And after that, I start to cry. I can't believe. And I understood. I realized that she did it. It was fantastic. And I'm so happy. I'm happiest manager in the world.
So in the heptathlon women, Nafi Thiam was another repeat winner, successfully defending the title she had won in Rio. Top Belgian journalist Philippe van de Veyer tells us what this means for the Belgian star.
Bonjour, alors Philippe van de Veyer du journal Le Soir de Bruxelles ici. Alors ce que je retiendrai essentiellement de ces Jeux de Tokyo en ce qui me concerne, c'est la deuxième victoire à l'heptathlon de Nafissatou Thiam, 5 ans après les Jeux de Rio. Elle est ainsi devenue la deuxième heptathlonienne de l'histoire à réussir le doublé, après Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Et elle est aussi la deuxième athlète belge à décrocher 2 médailles d'or aux Jeux, tous sports confondus, ce qui prouve la difficulté de la tâche. Alors elle s'était imposée aussi malgré une énorme pression. Elle était championne olympique en titre, mais elle avait aussi été championne du monde en 2017, championne d'Europe en 2018. Elle avait réussi un total de plus de 7000 points en 2017, donc on l'attendait. Et elle a résisté à la pression, malgré tout, malgré quelques petits pépins physiques, notamment au dos, au genou, au tendon d'Achille, malgré aussi un incident qui a eu lieu lors de la deuxième journée où son coach a été contrôlé faussement positif au Covid avant d'être contrôlé négatif. Mais donc, ça l'a empêché de la coacher pendant 2 épreuves et elle a su surmonter cette difficulté pour aller s'imposer une deuxième fois. Alors, je dirais que c'est vraiment la victoire de la maturité pour la fille parce que, bon, il y a 5 ans, personne ne l'attendait. Elle était un peu la nouvelle venue dans le rang des heptathloniennes. Ici, pas du tout. Elle était attendue et elle a super bien géré ces 2 jours de compétition. Et elle s'est vraiment inscrite maintenant dans la lignée des plus grandes et elle fait vraiment partie du Gotha des heptathloniennes de l'histoire des Jeux Olympiques.
In the 400-meter men, Colombia's Anthony Zambrano, who was already a silver medalist over the distance at the last World Championship in Doha, confirmed his international standing by adding Olympic silver to his collection. Colombia's top journalist, Héctor Palau Saldarriaga, has this to say.
Para nosotros en Colombia, indiscutiblemente que lo de Anthony Zambrano no solamente es histórico, sino que tiene ribetes de hazaña, porque es la segunda medalla que Colombia logra en la historia de los Juegos Olímpicos en una prueba de pista. La primera la había hecho Jimena Restrepo. Fue muy grande, pero hay que decir que la esperábamos porque viene de ser subcampeón del mundo, la esperábamos porque hoy es líder de la Liga Diamante, la esperábamos porque sabemos de su condición, de su preparación, de su concientización y su compromiso en estos Juegos Olímpicos. La esperábamos por la manera como fue avanzando en las zonas de clasificación y posteriormente en la semifinal. De modo que estamos felices y sentimos que hay un Anthony Zambrano para Juegos Olímpicos de París y para Juegos Olímpicos de Los Ángeles y naturalmente para Campeonatos del Mundo. Estamos felices y orgullosos de Anthony Zambrano.
Finally, in the javelin throw men, when Neeraj Chopra won India's first Olympic gold medal, India went wild. Here is what happened in the newsroom of India's Olympic broadcaster.
I'm not going to say anything.
Control yourselves.
Because we have never...
But it was not only in the newsrooms that India went crazy. In the days just after his Tokyo gold, Neeraj gained 2.8 million followers on Instagram, shooting up to 3.5 million. He is now the athlete with the most followers after the legendary Usain Bolt. When you have a champion like Neeraj, who has already won a world junior gold in 2016 in a country of 1.3 billion people, the resonance is bound to be huge, and it was. Figures released by Facebook show India was the country with the most people engaging about the Olympics throughout the duration of the Games. Here is what the Athletic Federation of India press officer Divesh Bal has to say. If the federation capitalizes on this opportunity wisely, athletics could finally become a top sport in India.
Annual report for 2017-2018, and this is an iconic picture of Neeraj Chopra we have taken. It's federation's hard work over the years, and we knew this guy is going to achieve something for India. And today, it's the biggest, huge movement for Indian athletics. You know, we wanted our first medal in athletics, and it came in form of gold medal.
So, Christel, you were in Tokyo and you're far more familiar with social media than I am. So what do you think about resonance of athletes on Facebook, on Instagram over the last 2 weeks?
Yes, actually, a lot of young athletes and young people have like social media as their own, as the number one place to go for information right now. Especially in countries where they don't have like a broadcast or they don't really follow on TV. So it was mainly on YouTube or social media. But yeah, we know that the fan base of athletes is growing exponentially, especially lately. So yeah, and especially with India. Now you were mentioning that how big the country is and how big the following of this athlete have become. Like, this is something huge, and I think it's not only in India but from all over the world also. Like, this is the stage where every athlete's dream of performing at their highest level. So yeah, the interaction was huge, and it's good to have like this, for athletes to have this much followers and fan base, because they have an impact on especially on the younger generation on social media, and it's a good way for our sport especially to grow through these athletes and reach more people and more young people, so we can attract them to the sport as well.
Well, the attraction of social media on young people definitely shows, because there was one athlete from a different sport who gained a lot more followers even than Neeraj Chopra, and that was skateboarder Raíssa Leal of Brazil, whose following grew to 5.8 million. So skateboard was included in the games for Tokyo. The aim was to attract younger generations to watch the Olympic Games, and apparently it was a very successful bet on the part of the IOC.
Yeah, actually I watched and I shot the skateboarding, especially the women's, and it was like astonishing just to see that 13 years old are performing. And especially that the Olympic Games are very competitive, and you see these skateboarders like really having fun, cheering for each other, hugging each other after the competition. Like, it didn't really feel as a competition. It felt more as a show and giving us a show instead of competing. And this, I think, is like the ultimate attention that they can grab the audience, and this is something special. Like, at the end, it's called games, Olympic Games. It's not like really very competitive, and that's the beauty of skateboarding, or at least from my point of view.
Skateboarding was indeed special, because as well as these very young 12, 13-year-old girls, in the men's competition, there was a 46-year-old athlete from South Africa, Oberholzer, who I think came dead last in his heat, but he was still also having a great time. So thank goodness for events and athletes like that. So to come back to our own sport, top events next week, we have the Under-20 World Athletics Championships from 17th to 22 August in Nairobi, including some athletes who just came from the Olympic Games. We mentioned Christine Bommer, who was silver in Tokyo, but also steeplechaser Bikila Tadesse Takele of Ethiopia. He was not very good in Tokyo, but he owns 2 of the top 10 marks this year. So definitely one to watch in Nairobi. And then next Saturday, so in a little over the week, we have the Diamond League resuming on August 21st in Eugene. So we're now at the end of our program. It was great having Christel back on the show, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you, Christel.
Yes, thanks. Thanks, Anna, for having me, and thanks for all the facts that makes the Olympics and this moment of the year very special.
Definitely. Thank you all for watching, and see you next week on Love Athletics, as we will conclude our comments and analysis on the Tokyo Olympics and start looking ahead to the first Diamond League meeting after the Games. Bye-bye.